Hi, my name is Dustin, and this is my story. So when I was 11, my dad committed suicide, and me and my brother found him. And it was pretty emotional, and I was kind of the kid that was always in trouble all the time, so I thought it was my fault, like my dad did it because, he was tired of dealing with me kind of thing. Around 13 years old, I started drinking pretty heavily, and got in with the wrong crowd, started smoking, and moved on to pills, and I tried to get everything I could just to be emotionally numb, to the world. So I moved out when I was 17, heavily partying, and all kinds of things we shouldn't, and cops came, all that stuff. So my two roommates, one of them joined the Army as soon as he turned 18. He joined, so basically right out of high school. And then my other roommate's like, well, I'm thinking about joining. And I was like, well, maybe I should join now because you guys are all joining, so maybe there's something to this. And I went to the recruiter and, went through the process and took the test. I scored pretty low because I was just high the day before. So, I was way off in La La Land. And so I chose mechanic, and I ended up joining about 2 months after that. So about 5 months, roughly, in the deployment, we were going through downtown Tikrit, Iraq, and we came around a roundabout, and the vehicle in front of us took it real wide, and we took it pretty close to the curb, and we hit a pressure plate mine, and it blew apart our vehicle. And when it blew up, like the whole back of the Humvee got torn off. And then I was a gunner at the time, and I got knocked unconscious. I had shrapnel go through my arm and my back, and then had a perforated eardrum, so I could hear it ringing really. So I got the Bronze Star, Combat Action Badge, Army Combination Medal, all for that situation. And I was like, I don't feel like I did anything. And they're like, well, you being there, you fought back, and everything. I was like, yeah, but I felt helpless. And then I was like, this is what I've been feeling like my whole life. I'm 23. I permanent change of station to Fort Riley, Kansas here. My friend and his wife were like, hey, we got this girl we want you to meet. And I was like, no, I don't do relationships. I go meet her, and it's Alicia, my wife now. I met her and I was completely drunk. This is about 8 months, I guess, we've been dating. We got married July 3rd, 2009. And then after we got married, I was deploying. So I deployed a couple months after that. I ended up going to Iraq. Halfway through, or a little over halfway through the deployment, they put me on orders to go to Fort Lewis, Washington. When I got back home, after she agreed, yeah, I'll go with you, we're married, so she's like, we need to start going to a church, when we move. Terry, he was the youth pastor there, and he's now my best friend. And that next Wednesday, I went to service, and we started started off praise and worship, and praise and worship continued. And he said, there's some people that want asked to be prayed over. He's like, so you guys want to come up front, or anybody else that wants to come up front? I just I felt overwhelmed, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go up there. I don't know what this is about, but I'll go up there. He comes up to me and he's like, you ready, man? He's like, you ready to accept Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior? And I was like, yes, I am. He put his hands right on me, and I just felt like just dropped. And he's still praying for me, even on the floor. He's still praying for me. He he knew me, so he's like, and your dad, died and all that. It's not your fault, man. He goes, you don't have to, deal with that anymore. And talk about a weight being lifted off my shoulders, and went home, dumped out all the alcohol I had in my house, and I was like, I ain't doing this ever again. This is just some nonsense I was involved with, but I'm done with this. And poured it all out and never touched it again. It just, I don't even know where to begin. It's just, once you get that feeling, and once Jesus is in your life, it's all that sin and pain and suffering that I dealt with, was over.